My name is Italy, and what is your name?
I am Jane Marr, and I have had you as a student, and it's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. So, for our opening question, I would like to ask, what was your experience as an elementary school teacher?
You're really making me go very far back in my career, but I was not as well prepared to be an elementary school teacher as I should have been, now that I know that and have gotten all of the training. And because I tend to be a glass half full person, I often think back and wonder and think hard about how I could have done a better job. But I think because the children I was teaching were coming from good homes, they were surrounded by literacy, they had all of their needs met. When they came to my classroom, they were ready to learn, they were in a good place, and so even if I made mistakes, they survived and they even thrived. But I do remember wishing that I could cover more curriculum. And that's why I eventually moved on to high school and then to college. So if you're asking me about early childhood, it's for younger, well-trained people. But I did the best I could, and they all seem to be fine, with or without me. Okay, yeah.
That's great. My second question will be, how do you approach students with special needs in your classrooms?
That's a great question. There are layers here. Am I aware of the students' special needs? How do I become aware of those students' special needs? What if the students have not elected to disclose? Remember, I have no way of knowing unless the students want to let me know which accommodations they're entitled to. And once the students let me know what their accommodations are, very often they're not going to be a problem, or they're not going to cause they're not going to cause me to have to modify, because I believe in something called universal design. Whatever works for students with special needs is going to be equally effective for students who don't have those special needs. So for example, I never give in-class exams so that we don't have to worry about the students needing extra time or having to go make an appointment to take that exam somewhere else. I distribute my syllabus very, very early in the semester with all of the assignments. So students very rarely ask me for that extra time and a half to submit their assignments. If they do, of course, I give it to them. So that covers the students who self-identify. The students who don't self-identify are important it's important to recognize that they may not know they have special needs. And where does that place me? Because by the time one gets to college, and it's where I'm teaching now, it is no longer free to be tested by a school district. And I have to kind of balance, should I have a conversation with a student? How severely or negatively is this perceived learning difference affecting the student's performance, or the student's happiness, or the student's chance of success? When I'm teaching an education course, I tend to find the students have developed some pretty good self-accommodating strategies, which would lead them to wanting to be teachers. When I teach other courses, it becomes so evident in their writing, it becomes evident in their resistance to going for extra help. It becomes evident in the strategies they use, remaining very, very quiet in the classroom, or pretending that they don't care rather than admitting that they're not learning it in the same way or in an effective way. So you're asking me, what's one of my challenges? And that is one of them. Dealing with all the different needs in the classroom. I was just at a conference recently and one of the speakers said we all have special needs. And I keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And if I look at each one of my students, I realize that I am accommodating in certain ways for each one of my students. This student doesn't like to speak in class. This student really has to speak in class. It's important to her to be heard. This student didn't submit his homework on time, but I know if I give him a little extra time, he's going to do a great job. This student didn't hand in his homework on time, and unless I'm really hard on him, he's not going to hand it in and he's not going to do well. That's all accommodating all the time. We call that, we learned about this, formative assessment, figuring out what's going on at every moment and what can you do about it. Am I answering that question?
Yes, that was perfect.
Okay.
And also that she said that we all have special needs reminded me when I first got here and I didn't speak English and the struggle that I went through, not learning, was in the school. Sometimes they didn't give me that attention, like that one-on-one that every student needs. They just put me in a classroom with kids that already knew English and I had to learn bits and bits, but I didn't have that one-on-one that I really needed. So
has that had a negative impact on you emotionally?
it has.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can
It's
absolutely
really
imagine. You're tough and good. Good for you. Your English is wonderful now. You know that.
Thank
But
you.
we talked about this in our ed class.
Yes, we have. And it gives me the experience that when I'm a teacher
Yes.
and I have students with another language and they don't speak English, I know from my experience that I need to spend more time with that student.
Good for you. Good. We learn from our own negative
Yeah, we do.
experiences. One hopes we do. If we become bitter or cynical, then we can't take any benefit from it. But good for you. That's great. Good.
And for our final question,
Okay.
this is our closing question. What advice would you give to future teachers on controlling phone usage in the classroom?
Oh my goodness, now you're gonna see the other side of me. I don't know if you can get that genie back in the bottle. I think our students are so, I don't want to use the word addicted, have developed such a need for phones that to simply say, turn your phone off now and do something else is not practical. What I do is I build cell phone use into my classroom. I think that cell phones can be used far more effectively in the classroom. I think that's the direction we have to take, not banning them. It's like, why would you ban cell phones in the classroom if the rest of our students' lives are going to depend on the way they access and use their cell phones? Why not use the time to help them recognize the true strengths and value of a cell phone? I think we've got to reap the benefits of the technology that cell phones offer. We will not be able to ban them.
No.
Or you're gonna have students looking longingly at those, it's like the little shoe holders,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Yeah.
I've seen it in classrooms.
I know.
When I was in high school, they made us put them each on it.
Did you
We had
stare?
numbers.
Did you
I
stare at
still-
your phone?
I did.
It's a heartbreak.
It
It's
is
a
very
heartbreak.
hard.
That was
So,
fun.
Thank you so
You
much.
are so welcome.